It's that time of the week, folks, and of course that time is time for Jungle Drums. I'm joined this week once again by my good friends Gimboyd and Sergeant J. How we doing, gents?
Good, cheers. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Hanging in there, just only a couple of weeks left of this academic year, so just trying to knock some shit out, and then that'll be that. And get the summer. Yay!
I'm still
winner.
You're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's at least, hey, knock on wood, actually, I've been feeling not too bad. I haven't been ill in quite a while. So that's good. At least there's that.
Game over now you said that.
Yeah, it will be. Watch, as soon as the summer break begins, that'll be me. I'll have man flu or some crap. But it's actually been a bit, I think, one of the biggest reasons why I'm staying well is because the weather has actually been fantastic up here. I mean, Scotland is traditionally grey and wet for the most part, but like for the last couple of weeks, we've just been having nice, warm, sunny, blue skies. Hence why the barbecue's been getting a fair bit of use. So that
just sounds like most of England, though, doesn't it? Usually dry and grey and wet.
Yeah, but it's a strange one because when you look. Honestly, when you look at the difference in weather, a lot of times, between London and, the rest of Scotland, or usually, the temperatures, there's a huge difference. And I always find it funny because really geographically, there's not that much distance, between us.
No.
Britain just really has a strange weather system, and I always remember my stepdad, who's American, used to always make the joke. He's like, it's crazy, when you guys over there in the UK, you're all under the same cloud. When you look at it from an American perspective, how they have humongous weather systems. But oh well. Anyway, how droll talking about the weather. What have we come to?
Right.
What have we come to? I just want to actually start off with just a quick friendly reminder that, of course, on the website, scholargamers.com, we're, trying to, as I get a cough, see, that's it, the man flu's beginning. You did warn me. Over at scholargamers.com, we're trying to also cover other, bits of news here and there. So I just noticed mere moments ago, as we're recording this, Marcus had dropped a nice breakdown of the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 reveal. So if you point your browser to scholargamers.com, you'll be able to catch that. So just thought I would bring that up. Make sure to, we've always traditionally had a piece or two, an article or two come out each day. But now also we're starting to get news into the rotation. So whilst of course you could wait every week for Jungle Drums to get, your news fix if you want in video form, but if you can't wait and you want to read stuff, then hey, throughout the week there is going to be little bits and pieces of news throughout. But enough of that. What about our news? What have we got? Now, there's a lot of stuff happening at the minute. Little minute things. I mean, you may have seen the other week there with the huge leak of potential E3 games that Walmart had posted. It was funny, how there was this big sensationalism about it, whereas it's nothing new. These things happen quite often, especially in Europe. How many times have we seen an e-store over here, leak a game? Whether it's been somewhere in Germany or
Germany, Spain.
Yeah,
Countries all have leaks.
It happens all the time, but okay, that one, yes, was of quite a big magnitude, I suppose. But anyway, because we're in the run-up to E3, there's a lot of news like that. A lot of, this trailer, this teaser. And I kind of thought, what, we're not going to look into any of that stuff. We're not going to cover any of that. We'll be covering E3 again this year. We did an E3 special last year, so I think we might as well do the same thing again this year, right? When we can remember how we did it when we talked about what we were looking forward to, then what kind of our highs and lows were. So I think we'll do the same this year. And we'll just have to see. Hopefully it'll be some decent stuff.
I do want to ask if you saw Bethesda's response to the Rage 2 leak, though.
Yes,
that
was pretty cool. It was they just played it cool.
I barely remember that Rage, the game, but I want to love it.
Yeah, I remember playing it, and it was like, yeah, I know what you mean. It was like you wanted to enjoy it, but it was just kind of meh. It's the same with Mad Max. I've still got to try that still, because I think that I would like it.
I had a quick go on that when it had a Game Pass, but I was mostly had that for Sea of Thieves, so I didn't get much time on it. It's not a bad game, but it'll take a while.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. To it.
Well, okay, so my first bit of news this week is from techradar.com, and this kind of caught my attention, and this is about Stalker 2. The announcement that basically Stalker 2 is creeping back into development with a release date of 2021. Now, this is actually a story that, if you think about it, has its roots from years ago, because Stalker 2 was promised to be on the way back in 2010 with a projected release date of 2012. But whenever we got to that point in 2012, they actually announced the project was cancelled. Now, okay, yes, we remember that Stalker did have sequels to it. I actually have all 3 of them on my PC. I haven't actually played through and beat them yet. I just got them. Oh, what was it? I'm sure there was like a bundle no, I think there was like a huge deal on Steam.
Well, it surprised me one bit because I think I've got all 3 from probably something similar.
Yeah, and so I know how I remember when the original Stalker was being previewed. I think it was in an old PC Gamer years ago, and I remember looking and going, "Oh, that looks really, really cool." But yeah, I've never actually played through them. But anyway, it looks like Stalker 2 is on the way, allegedly in 2021. There's no real details at the moment. There's a placeholder website, which is, funnily enough, www.stalker2.com, and it just has the title of the game along with 2021 written underneath, which most people are speculating that is the targeted release date. So it's potentially a huge ass game, because the original, when it came out back in 2007, was quite a big damn hit. It did well. Even so, it was full of glitches, full of bugs, but the follow-ups were decent. If anything, the article, they recommend The Call of Pripyat. That was supposed to be the most polished game of the series. I remember I've seen streamer Co-Carnage play through the Stalkers. I've watched quite a bit of it, and it does seem like there's a lot going on in that game. It's not just a first-person shooter, is it? It's got a lot of different...
It's got RPG elements and survival elements and stuff like that.
So it's
Ukrainian dev.
Yes, that is right.
Yes.
They were the... If memory serves me correctly, and I think it was Marcus that had brought this up in Discord the other day, talking about how this dev team, like, they had no money whatsoever, and they were working out of like a rickety shack with having to use generators, right, like in the freezing winter of Ukraine, right, where they have to use these gasoline or petrol generators just to keep, to run all the stuff. But they had to have the windows open so the generators could, have exhaust pipe, basically going out of the room. It was just a crazy situation. And they worked tirelessly to get those games out to us. Fast forward, and I don't think they'll be working out of a shack this time around. I'm fairly confident they're in a better financial situation. But it'll be interesting to see. I think, at the time, it was a game that just had a lot of potential, tried to really bite off quite a lot, and then, yes, it was let down with bugs and whatnot, but it still did really, really well. So there you go, Stalker 2.
It suffered from what is known as a Eurojank.
Yes.
A good European-made game, but it tends to be quite buggy.
Yeah.
It can be awkward.
It's an unfortunate aspect.
Wasn't Kingdom Come a European-made game as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
Similar issues. It's a game that people love, but adds its jankiness to it.
Yeah, there's something strange over here in Europe. Don't get our quality assurance or something. Just
It's shocking.
you know.
But then you get CD Projekt Red, and it's like, oh, they overcome it.
yeah, you're right. There are some devs that can just kind of work hard, try to overcome
more often
that
than
stuff.
not, you get a bit of the Euro jank in those games, and they're good games. They just always do a little more polish, maybe tweak some of the systems.
No, it'll be cool to see. I mean, because the idea of having an actual proper sequel to those original games, as well as being on a nice shiny modern engine, I think it could be quite amazing, especially when you're looking back over the last couple of years at how smaller studios are actually giving us games of AAA quality. I mean, look at Hellblade. How many won 5 BAFTAs. Absolutely stunning game. Looks like it was made by a huge studio, but of course it wasn't. We're definitely the rise of the indies is definitely here. They're starting to get quite competitive and make some real quality products.
Well, I think the other good thing about it all as well is indie games kind of used to have this almost thing of they were like platformers or like little 2D things. They never really sort of had the big sort of showing that they do now, which is always really good as well. Because whenever you used to think of an indie developer, you used to think, a little platformer, that sort of style game, mobile game. But now, as you say, they're massive. Like you look at some indie developers and you think they could be AAA studios. And then again, it also puts AAA studios to shame sometimes because you look at the stuff they do and you're like,
Bungie.
Like that. Yeah, exactly. So it's good though. It's good for the industry as well, without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely. Speaking of other things that are really good for the industry, one of the hottest news items of this week comes from Microsoft. So there's articles all over the internet. I decided to just pull the one from GameSpot. And of course, this is about the new Xbox Adaptive Controller that was announced. Basically, a new controller that is aimed to help people with limited mobility. Let's see if I've got... So a decent screenshot kind of here. You can see how it looks. When you first look at it, it looks almost like some kind of DJ piece of equipment. But it's not. It's really, really quite interesting. There was a leak earlier on in the week. So whether or not that leak has kind of forced Microsoft's hand to formally announce it, we'll never know, I suppose, but we can probably imagine. And the adaptive controller is going to be launched later this year, priced at about $100. And Phil Spencer, the Xbox boss, had basically said that this controller takes into consideration the needs of gamers who may not be able to hold a controller for a long time, or be able to reach all of the triggers and buttons at once. So they're trying to take a more inclusive approach. To design products for gamers, because they realize that not everyone's the same. There's people out there with all sorts of kinds of limited mobility, in this day and age with the amount of, war veterans that we have, young ones at that, who are missing limbs, something like this is just great. It's absolutely fabulous to see, this kind of product. But there's plenty of videos, out there. The big thing that sets it apart, you can see it's quite large. It's not super huge in the grand scheme of things. Probably what would you guys say? Like maybe about as wide as from like your elbow to your wrist, that kind of size. Not as big as a keyboard, but about tablet size kind of thing.
No.
But the big feature of it has these 2 big buttons built in, those big black ones, right? That can be reprogrammed to work as any of the inputs on a standard controller using the Xbox Accessories app. Plus, there was a really good... Oh, I wonder if they've got the image here. No, they don't. It has a bunch of inputs, so it can support all sorts of other, peripherals. Things... in fact, there's a full list. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let me see. Come on.
Also, it seems that it was developed in collaboration with the charity Special Effect.
Yes.
Stuff all the time.
Indeed it
Help
was.
with
But
their custom setup work as well.
see, when you look, it's a fabulous bit of, looking kit, that's for sure. And the way it's got all these kind of buttons on it and stuff, I was hoping that this was going to have more pictures here, unfortunately, but I don't. Oh, here we go. I just want to show how, in this one picture they've got here, the connection possibilities. So it's not about just that controller on its own, but all the different things that could be plugged into it to make it more accessible for people. It's just, fantastic. Because it's a Microsoft product too, it's going to work on PC. Whether or not it'll out of the box work with every single game, I would highly doubt that, but you know what I mean. It'll a PC will be able to detect it, and then it'll just be
work with any game that allows rebinding, basically.
Yeah, you would think so.
And more games are doing that even on console.
One thing that's interesting that I see here is that the adaptive controller, they're claiming it's going to be sold exclusively through the Microsoft Store, which is interesting. I don't know why, if there's any specific reason for that. I'm just trying to see if I can. No, there's gonna be more details during E3, obviously, and there's plenty of video content out there. But it just looks pretty darn neat.
I suppose just doing it from the Microsoft Store is brilliant because it's more of it's still just a niche product. It's not an everyday controller. It's for people with needs for this. So
that's fair enough.
Sending it through other stores and stuff.
Do you think maybe it's a case of doing it that way ensures that people that need it will actually be able to get it? Could it, or is it maybe a case of hedging their bets where, rather than, because if they have to produce a product and have it stocked, like in Game and Argos and, all these places, they obviously have to make, however...
a lot of units, and I don't think if they were making that many units and stocking that many places, there's not the sort of customer base for it there.
Yeah, it's the thing, I think, because, as you say, I'm not saying it's a niche market as such, but obviously it's going to be a lot cheaper to sell it on the store, and, potentially might allow them to sell it for cheaper as well if they're not going to be selling it anywhere else. They haven't got to worry about getting it out there. They haven't got to worry about, as you say, giving X amount to the shop or however it works and all that sort of stuff.
I suppose it's like with motor vehicles. If you go to a car dealership, right, they don't usually tend to have many of their mobility cars on display, do they?
No.
It's not something that they tend to keep in stock. If anything, they will advertise that they offer mobility and whatnot, but it's still, kind of a custom order, I guess would be the word to use, but like a per customer basis. So
yeah,
I suppose that kind of makes sense. Why would they would release it just through the
or it could be just some of the more niche controllers. You can get like the really high end flight sticks, driving wheels and stuff.
That's true as well.
That basically are custom order built sort of things. I think it's just because it's so niche a product. It's for a specific group of people that have lost the use of limbs or lost limbs entirely, or just have difficulty with that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah. No,
I think the other good thing to look at as well as from a market point of view is that obviously again Xbox have kind of just come ahead of the curve with this, but it's going to be good though for things like Sony because they're going to probably want to compete, which means you're going to get more accessibility on other consoles potentially, which would be a good thing. Whether or not that actually happens is a different story, and whether or not Sony view it that way. But
yeah, no, I can see that. You can almost imagine, right? Like fanboys doing some. Oh, look, Microsoft's releasing this. That is really good for our wounded veterans. Sony isn't, so PlayStation supports terrorism. If you play on PlayStation, the terrorists win. But
yeah, no, exactly. You can see it, can't you?
Conversation like the plague, because they are the plague.
No, is it? Because I know I've seen. I'm sure you've probably seen as well. Like where there's like YouTube videos out there, folk like playing games with their feet or kind of jury rigging their own setup because like especially like wounded vets where they've figured out a way, buying some kind of thing and being able to play games with a joystick instead of a controller, because they only have one arm or there was someone that saw that. What were they playing? Yeah, they were playing like first-person shooter games with a steering wheel. Because that worked for them quite well. So it's neat that people have always tried to find a way to still have an access to gaming. But it's just great that a company like Microsoft saying, well, you know what? Yes, there is actually a need for this, so we're gonna take that chance, make this product. But I think as we've kind of now, after discussing a bit more, can see that they're still hedging their bets a little bit if they're only offering it through their online store.
Yep.
But no, pretty neat. Pretty neat. And then, when you look at it, for something like that, $100, that is, I think it kind of, they said that their goal was to make a device that's as adaptable as possible, which when you look at the amount of rear inputs or outputs it has is it's crazy. The whole back side of it is made up of ports. It's plug and play, extensible, and affordable. And based off these kind of early products, videos of it, it certainly looks like they've hit the mark there. So pretty neat. Pretty neat. Now I'll be interested. It'd be awesome to actually get a chance to try to see it in person. Whether or not that'll happen or not, I don't know. But
oh yeah, definitely.
They'll probably game or something will get one in, or something. You know what I mean? Like not where you can physically buy it from them, but just the kind of because they're like a product partner. They'll probably have some kind of display. Even
I suppose just to raise awareness for it as such, because obviously they're going to get a lot more from people just walking past retail stores and out and about.
Absolutely. Right, how about a quick bit of tech stuff? Because last week obviously talked about the GTX 1180s that's on the way. Hopefully July or August we'll be seeing that. In the processor world, a few weeks back, of course, we were talking about the second-gen Ryzens. And they look, they're looking good. They are, you've got a slight bit of performance increase over the first generation. But so now I came across an article from videocardswithaz.com that was talking about the second gen Threadrippers. And sure enough, the Ryzen Threadripper platform will be receiving an update soon, just like Ryzen did. So basically, this is on the Zen Plus architecture, not the Zen 2. That isn't till next year. And that basically is going to be the second generation of Threadripper. So, it'll be using the 12 nanometer fabrication process, and that should allow AMD to increase power efficiency as well as the actual frequency of the processors, because that's one of the biggest complaints about Threadripper is that it doesn't have actually very high clock frequencies. But of course, with 32 effective cores, you don't necessarily need that higher, instructions per clock. You've got enough threads to take care of a bunch of processing power. So it looks pretty cool. It looks like they're going to be the same kind of convention as the first gen. If you remember the first gen, they had the 1900X, the 1920X, and the 1950X. And those were I believe, there was the 8-core model that had 16 threads. There was the 12-core, and then the 16-core, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So for the 2000, it's going to be the same convention. There's going to be the 2900X, 2920, 2950. And pricing, we have no idea, but we're assuming it'll probably be around the same. The most interesting thing, though, is going to be, just like Ryzen, is that these new Threadrippers, you probably are not going to have to go out and buy a brand new motherboard. If you're already on, the 399 platform, if you're already on the TR4 architecture, you should be able to just slap one of these second-gen ones in. The thing that's most interesting for me is whether or not the 3rd gen and then the 4th gen, even more years down the line, if they will actually work in the same motherboards, because AMD has taken a very different approach from Intel. Intel has this habit of, they have a motherboard or a platform that supports 2 generations.
Yeah. And
then you have to start from scratch, buy a new motherboard. Whereas AMD is saying, no, AM4, which is the Ryzen, platform, they're going to keep supporting that for the foreseeable future. But we don't know 100% if the same is true for TR4, which TR4 is, TR, Threadripper, right? It's a completely different socket. The thing's huge. But if it does, it's, again, just, an amazing thing for AMD to do. Because even so, these Threadripper chips are expensive. They're still a hell of a lot cheaper than the i9s. The Extreme Edition chips from Intel's. So,
especially when you say if they do keep them on the same chipsets, the fact matter is, again, you've got that advantage over Intel where people haven't got to go out and buy brand new motherboards or anything like that. They can just go out and just plug it straight into this one again.
Yep.
Get a nice upgrade still, which again will put them much more ahead.
I mean, this is the thing. They'll still do a refresh. I mean, because AMD did the same. The old Ryzen platform, whether you're on a 350 or a 370, they had the different chipsets. They did do a refresh where they released a 470, but you didn't have to get it, right? I mean, it was just a nice little kind of refresh. So they'll probably do the same with Threadripper. I mean, at the minute, that platform for Threadripper, the motherboards use the designator X399. So they might do something. Maybe it'll be, X499. Who knows? But they should still work. So it'll be quite interesting. Because the Threadripper as a platform is just as fabulous. It has much higher, PCI Express lanes. You can use ECC registered memory if you wish. It'd be nice to have one. But again, they're just a bit pricey, just a little bit pricey. So they are. Right. Let's see. I've got a bit of topical news. Actually, it's not. We try to stay away from news, but hey, it is techie. And so, of course, this is from PC Gamer about the net neutrality stuff that is, it's still lurking, right? It's still happening. And so what just happened this week was the US Senate votes to restore net neutrality, but now it has to pass through the House. Now, of course, folk in the States, you know how your legal system works. Over here in the UK and in Europe, a lot of folk don't actually know the ins and outs of how, it's very similar to, our Parliament, right? I mean, we've got the Parliament and the House of Lords, and it's similar there, how they've got the House of Representatives, which is Congress, and then the Senate. And the American system is based off checks and balances, so just because the House does something doesn't mean it's automatic. The Senate has a chance to kind of change it or challenge it. Then likewise, if you have the House and the Senate making a decision, then the White House can attempt, to veto it or change it. But then you also have the judicial system, which can, it's a whole system based on checks and balances. So the Senate, yes, got a good favorable vote, which is a very good sign. But they still need to get the House of Representatives on board, unfortunately. Because this is the thing. When you think about, like, from our point of view, we're like, oh well, this is the States. It's not really going to affect us. But if it does happen, if net neutrality goes away in the US, it is going to affect the rest of the world in minor ways. But it could also set some pretty horrible kind of, precedents for other countries to go, well, okay, if the US has done it, then, we might just follow a similar route.
It's a whole entire chain reaction thing, isn't it? Again, as you say, if somebody can do it, they're going to think, yeah, you know what, maybe we can. Or people start seeing the benefits or whatnot of it, or, in that respect, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we should do this as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's worth noting, though, that, this whole support that, when you look on the internet, right, and you see gamers and journalists everywhere all talking about net neutrality and how, this is what the people want, it really doesn't look like the US government shares that view. Because even this vote, right, it only got through by the skin of its teeth. The count was 52 to 47, which is by no means a landslide victory, is it?
No.
So, to be fair, it's it'll be interesting to see. The bill's now going to move to the House, where another majority vote will be required. It's a bit kind of, it's a different situation when you in the House, because Republicans have stronger control. They've got, I think, 235 members versus the Democrats 193. And then if the measure passes through the House, then it would go to the president, who can veto it, if he chooses. It'll be interesting to see what the hell happens. But I just thought we'd include it on this week's news, because it is quite topical. And if it's something that, if you're over there in the States, this is one of the reasons why you should be writing to your congressman, or congresswoman. You should, yes, you can bitch and moan about it all you want on social media, and sign a petition through change.org. That's one avenue that you could take, or you could actually, contact the people in government. I know sometimes it just feels like it doesn't make that much of a difference, but you'd be surprised, because the politicians, they do bring this stuff up, just say, well, my constituents feel this way, and you never know. No voice is too small.
Yep.
Unless net neutrality goes through, then yes, we won't have a voice whatsoever.
No, we will not.
No, you will have a voice. You just have to pay like $10 a month for it.
Yeah, this is the thing.
And another $10 a month if you want Netflix and the social media.
Because this is the problem. You think of how, okay, we live in the UK and it doesn't affect us, but yeah, you're right. Our ISPs aren't based over there, but when you look at some of the services that we, try to utilize, that no doubt will be over in the States, when you think about the infrastructure of the internet, that's how it could affect us, we could see some websites might start being slower for us, or there's all sorts of possibilities. And so it is still very much an international problem. Yes, the effect on us isn't as significant as it will be for the folks in the US, but it's still,
it could still be a noticeable effect.
Yeah, big
that's
time.
The issue.
And that's just a scary thing. If the US has to, kind of deal with that, then it could make other countries kind of say, well, due to, there being no net neutrality in the US, we're going to have to now change our policy because, or who knows? We'll just have to see. We shall have to see. other crazy shit on the internet. This really caught my eye because, you know, YouTube has had a lot of ups and downs over the last couple of years, I suppose. You know, there was the big partner shedding, so to speak, where, you know, they introduced new criteria for monetization for YouTube channels. So if you didn't have so many subscribers and so many, you know, thousands of hours viewed time on your channel, you were getting your monetization taken away from you. Which was fair. When you look at it and you read about it, you can see, okay, you know, yes, you can understand why they did it. But the latest development seems to be to do with their algorithm. So I had found this at wired.co.uk, and the headline is saying that YouTube's algorithm is causing havoc for gaming live streamers. So basically, live streamers rely on YouTube to make a living are finding themselves increasingly troubled by its unrelenting automated glare. Now, see, this is the thing with YouTube. A lot of its systems are automated. You know, it's all done through algorithms. If you've ever had a copyright strike on you, it's very unlikely that, you know, whatever that copyright strike, the copyright strike was, you know, it wasn't done manually. It wasn't like, you know, a person found your video and said, oh, wait a minute, that's got my music in it, or, oh, hold on, that's got my content. You know, it doesn't work that way. It uses an ID system, and it's, you know, it's an algorithm in the background that kind of scans all these things, and usually it's automatic. So this story, the article, it really kind of lays out a sob story. You know, this guy who's a live streamer on YouTube, you know, and how he's constantly streaming. You know, this is how he makes a living is from his live stream. And so he was playing a motorcycle game, TT Isle of Man. You know, and so, you know, he was doing his thing, racing around, and then he basically made the decision to show how these laps should be done, and he pulled up some footage of actual motorcyclists, you know, proper MotoGP riders going around. He brought up the GoPro video of Michael Dunlop, and then just 3 minutes into the video, his stream died, leaving a placeholder screen and his fans bewildered. It turned out that YouTube's algorithm had basically terminated the stream automatically for using copyrighted content and had shut him down. Now, the interesting thing about YouTube is that also then slapped a 90-day, 3-month streaming ban. So, you know, so the way that the story kind of frames it is, for this guy, Jimmy, that meant that his ability to make a living was basically taken away from him. So it's an interesting read. The thing that gets me, I suppose, is that, well, with YouTube streaming, I mean, yes, you know, there's a thing when it comes to donations and whatnot, but there isn't that much super money in YouTube at the minute when it comes from the advertising side of things. Most people on YouTube now are making money from products, you know, from merchandise, from sponsorships, from, you know, deals they have with partners. So I think the story's a little bit kind of sensationalized, but at the same time, I think it's actually quite interesting to see how the automated algorithm of YouTube is just quite crazy, because the story goes on. I don't know if you guys had a look, where it turns out the copyright strike, you know, which the algorithm did on behalf of this channel, I think called Duke Video, and Duke Video is the company that manages the official videos for the Isle of Man TT. So what this guy Jimmy did was he actually reached out to them, you know, saying, look, you know, I wasn't trying to do anything bad, I just, you know, did this. And sure enough, because Duke Video is a YouTube partner as well, they made contact with YouTube, and they got the ban lifted. You know, the copyright strike removed immediately. So that was pretty cool. But I just thought it was quite interesting how, you know, something like that, how, I mean, can you imagine, like, I mean, just imagine, Jay, right? You work right? You're working day in, day out, Monday to Friday, and then if all of a sudden, you know, like you had to just, for the smallest of reasons, you just got suspended with no pay for 90 days. You know, just be quite a...
It's pretty kicking the balls, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so I can sympathize with the guy on that aspect of it. There you go. Hey, look, he's playing a video game about motorcycles, and he's decent, but he's not great. And then goes, hey, you know what? Look, have a look at this video. You know, have a look at this footage. You know, this is how it's supposed to be done. And next thing you know, because of the YouTube algorithm, he's slapped with a 90-day ban. Which, you know, again, I don't know if it honestly is the case that this guy is feeding himself based off his YouTube streaming. I don't know. But if it is the case, I mean, that's horrible that this kind of thought that, oh shit, I'm not going to be earning money for the next 90 days. It'd be quite scary for anybody. You know,
well, yeah, exactly.
if you got laid off. And I mean, it shows quite a big difference between the way how Twitch operates, because the way, even so, the terms of service seem quite severe, you know, about copyright, especially when it comes to music on Twitch. Really, the only thing they do to you is they'll mute your VODs if you have copyrighted music playing.
Yeah.
You know, that's really about the extent. Yes, they do the occasional DMCA, you know, Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedowns. They do issue notices on people, but it's only YouTube that has this super, I wouldn't say advanced, because obviously it's making mistakes, but they've invested so much into their algorithms to detect, you know, problems with content. It's the same thing. I don't know if you guys have seen, I mean, again, it's been over the last year now, where the amount of people that are getting their videos demonetized. And many of them are left trying to figure out why.
Because there's no communication from YouTube on that front. They
No.
just don't tell anyone. Yeah.
And even the criteria, like, in order to be able to appeal that decision is like super, super high. So like your average person, like, you don't even meet the criteria to be able to appeal it. So it's quite funny how it works. You know, things like sometimes a swear word can make your video, you know, unsuitable for certain advertisers. Or I think you had brought up a while back, Gim, wasn't it? The God of War stuff.
Yeah, it's got war on the title, so it's getting demonetized.
Mm-hmm.
So some people were taking to renaming their videos on their Dad of Boy, which is a much better name.
You know,
Wow.
Not that they helped.
yeah, and that's the problem with automatic with algorithms, is that they're not perfect. But again, with the amount of content that goes up on YouTube, you know, there's no way they can have people looking.
No, but they still seem to go too far with some of their automation. I remember seeing someone that tweeted at the YouTube account just hi at YouTube, and immediately automatic replies, please send us a DM with the nature of your problem. It's like, come on.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Not even pretending there's a person behind that account anymore.
No, it's interesting. Because I mean, even like, you know, I don't watch any real, like, I watch quite a fair bit of YouTube, but I don't watch much of the YouTube live. But
Oh, very rarely I do.
it's allegedly it's really, really grown. The amount of growth it's had has been quite exponential, and it's allegedly doing really, really well. But I think for most people at the moment, if they want to watch gaming, you know, Twitch or Mixer's where they go. I think,
Yeah.
for the most part. Don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot of people that like YouTube.
Actually, Facebook's been getting quite a
Oh,
following.
you talk about numbers, Gim. You're absolutely right. Facebook has been, the growth rate of Facebook Live is way higher than even that of YouTube and Twitch. It's growing something crazy. So
I've seen a couple of content creators stuff I've watched every now and then. Just one of them got a temp ban from Twitch for no discernible good reason. complained about it and got told tough, basically. So she just went and moved everything to Facebook because YouTube was doing the same sort of nonsense as well. So.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people like... I think one of the things that's interesting is when it comes to all of these things, YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, people, they go that route because there's an opportunity for monetization. Let's be honest. Yes, they want to entertain. Yes, maybe they want to have a bit of fun. But somewhere in there, they're like, well, hey, look, this is going to give me monetization. If it wasn't about the money, people would just get their own domain and just stream themselves playing games. This is what you would do. So the platform has always been one of the big kind of key things, or the key draws for people. And what's really interesting now is people are getting fed up with the platforms. And, like, honestly, the way it's looking, when you look at things like Dr. Disrespect, who's, him and the people he's associated with, they're trying to make Boom TV into like the platform for esports. When you look at in the YouTube world, Linus Tech Tips, those guys have made Floatplane, which is a new platform, right? So instead of using YouTube, you could use this. And so there's a lot of folk that, and these are only two. There's hundreds out there of people that are trying to make new platforms. To try to give people better opportunities, better ways of monetization. And I honestly think we might get to that point where it will be a case of, instead of platforms, people will just be streaming directly. You know what I mean? Just like broadcasting. You don't have to go to Twitch. It'll just be you Google, someone playing, whatever, and look, hey, Sergeant J, there he is. I'll go check him out. And it's just www.sergeantj or some crap. I mean, I don't know. It just feels that way to me.
I would have a much cooler domain name. How dare you?
Of course. It would just, all you'd have to do is Google #letdown, and it would...
Exactly. Exactly.
No, but, I feel that that's the way things are kind of evolving. Because there's a lot of these different platforms kind of popping up. When you look at things like Facebook Live, even the monetization is a bit of an issue there. They don't think really have that in place yet, but it's really, really easy, to just go, well, look, here's a link, here's a GoFundMe, or here's my tip jar, here's my PayPal, send me money. So there's ways for people to monetize without having to have subs and donations via Twitch. Now it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. But yeah, no, I just thought it was quite interesting with that streamer. How it was pretty crappy for it. It even kind of went over to Twitch briefly so he could discuss with his audience what the hell had happened. Even so, he hadn't used his channel in for over a year or something. So it was. Right, so enough techie stuff. We've been quite tech heavy this week. I know, I'm sorry. That's just what happens. My head's...
It's alright, I forgive you.
My head's been in the tech side of things. It's because I've been playing the hell out of PC Building Simulator. If you don't know what that game is, my review has been posted up on the site, and check it out sometime. It's just such a fun game. But anyway, speaking of fun games, the next Battlefield. I grabbed this from www.dsogaming.com, and this is saying that it's official. The next Battlefield game will be revealed on May 23rd. So that'll be next Wednesday. And it will be called Battlefield Roman numeral V? Roman numeral 5? V? What is it? Battlefield V? Battlefield 5?
Maybe it's Battlefield Pointy U.
Oh, a Pointy U.
Battlefield upside down.
So basically, the rumors that have been all around the internet for ages that the next Battlefield would be called Battlefield V, or Roman numeral 5, have been confirmed by the actor Trevor Noah, saying that, look, EA is going to be hosting an event on 23rd May in order to reveal its new Battlefield game. And then also Randy Evans, who's the senior video and media director at EA DICE, has hinted that this Battlefield game may be called Battlefield V. And his tweet says, May 23rd, you better V there. # Battlefield.
Oh dear.
I like it. I really like it.
It's a stretch.
Well, he's obviously of that age where it just comes natural to make a dad joke. Like, for him, it's just a joke. It's not, it's not a dad joke. Now, the thing, we did talk about Battlefield, was it? Oh, not last week, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Talking about how, there was talks about the new Battlefield game could possibly have a BR mode in it. What we do know is that the new Battlefield, it will feature a single-player campaign. I know that wasn't that kind of on the chopping block for a while? Wasn't there some rumors going around?
Battlefield 1 kind of had missions. That wasn't a real full campaign.
I'd be intrigued if they do, because you look at what War Stories was like, and it was really good, really nitty-gritty, really...
Yeah.
It really showed it. So I'm hoping they'll do that more campaign-wise with Battlefield V, Upside Down Chevron, whatever you want to call it.
Battlefield Down.
Battlefield.
Sequel to Watership Down.
Oh, Watership Down. That's a childhood memory. Fond one.
Childhood nightmare.
Yeah, because I'm sure for a while there was talk that it could possibly not have a single-player campaign. And maybe I'm getting it mixed up with one of the other games, maybe.
No, that sounds like an EA thing to say.
Yeah, I suppose. But the thing is, we knew that DICE had been experimenting with BR, with Battle Royale, although it has not been confirmed yet whether or not it will be in this new Battlefield game. What we do know is that the new Battlefield game will be playable at the EA Play event this June, during which, we'll probably get a chance to actually see it. Not on hand, because I'm not going to be at the EA Play event in person, but hey, thanks to the internet, we'll probably be able to at least see some video footage and whatnot. As someone who, I've kind of skipped the Battlefields for a very, very long time, whereas you haven't, Jay, have you? I mean, you bought... In fact, you pre-ordered Battlefield 1, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I haven't played anywhere near as much, and it's something I need to go back to at some point, but I did play a lot of it when I first got it.
Is this a potential pre-order?
I will see what it's like, but more than likely, yes.
You know nothing about it.
Yeah, but it's apart from Hardline and potentially 4, all the Battlefield games I've always enjoyed.
Hardline's terrible.
I mean, I've been playing Battlefield since 1942. So I played Battlefield.
Jesus, I didn't realize you were that old, Jay. Holy shit! Right? You don't look
Battlefield 2, all the expansions for that. I picked up Battlefield 3 for a bit. I've played all the Bad Companies.
Yeah, Bad Companies.
But yeah, no, Battlefield 1 was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I really liked what they did with it, and it always felt like you were in a World War game, which was always good. And Battlefield has always done that well, in my opinion. Especially the fact that you've obviously got all the vehicle usage. What they did with War Stories was amazing. So I mean, like, you look at when you first opened up the game, you actually, I think you had like a tutorial level you had to play or something like that, where you essentially played a guy and then you're running along, and then suddenly you get absolutely overrun and your guy dies, and then you suddenly move forward to another part of the battlefield and go to another guy who then eventually dies. And I loved their storytelling for that. I think they got good acclaim for that. They got really good feedback and whatnot, praise for that, because it really did show the sort of nitty-gritty style of war. Like your character never gets through. In all reality. So So I'll be looking forward to this, and I'll pick it up. Hopefully, maybe play a bit more than I played Battlefield 1. Not because I didn't want to, just other games came about. It's always the bloody case, isn't it? I don't have enough time anymore to play games like I used to. Such a saying. But I'll probably be. I'll have a look, see what the reveal for it all looks like. But I mean, I'm more than expect I'll buy it.
What are we thinking? Is it going to be set in World War II? Is that the logical step after Battlefield 1?
Now, this depends, because obviously it's all made by the same studio. But it obviously all depends if they want to follow a Call of Duty thing of, let's release one Battlefield, which is a bit older version, and then you've got the more up-to-date Battlefields. Battlefield 5 could be a follow-on to Battlefield 4 in respect of that sort of timeline, or it could be World War II. I hope it's World War II. I really do, because as I've said, I personally much more prefer the World War games. As much as everybody's complaining, back when you had all the old CODs and stuff, like even the modern ones are still pretty good. Like Modern Warfare was good. Obviously, all the sort of modern Battlefields were. But I don't like this move to futuristic tech. If I want that, I'll play Halo or Destiny or stuff like that. Mass Effect. If I want that sort of future style game, I'll play that. I never really liked. I played the new CODs, for example, but I wasn't a fan of how they played. They were good, but they seemed too fast paced for COD, and partly because I was probably shy at it as well. So that's probably the other reason I didn't like them. I do kind of hope this does go World War II, because it'd be fantastic.
Self-game?
It's a wait and see. I've been unimpressed with both Battlefield and Call of Duty for a long time. So
yeah, I know what you mean. They're not. I mean, with Battlefield 1 at least, I remember looking and going, "Oh, you know what? I probably should have bought that. I probably would have enjoyed that. Not necessarily the multiplayer aspect, but the story bits."
I played it for a fair amount, and it was just sort of didn't quite do it. I found the war stories to not be like a full structured story campaign would have been better, rather than just sort of going, you spend a little time with this person, don't really get into it, and then you go over here. And the multiplayer was just descended. People found that, just descended who one guy with a sniper rifle that was actually decent would just pick off the entire enemy team. It wasn't fun. And there was too many machine guns for a period of time where machine guns weren't really a thing, except for mounted on a tripod.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know there's been rumors that it's going to be World War II, and I can get that. It would. I think it kind of makes sense if they want to kind of return to their roots, type of thing. The naming convention too. I mean, Battlefield V makes me think of victory and whatnot. So I don't know, but yeah, like you say, we'll just have to wait and see. We've only got a week to wait, so we'll soon find out. But yeah, I've got the gut feeling that it probably will be World War II or something. Or maybe it'll do. I'm trying to think. Maybe it'll try to do something else, like maybe World War II, but in the Pacific theater. Instead of in Europe or something. Because I'm trying to think if they've ever really done that aspect of it.
Some games have done that a bit before.
Yeah, but I mean, in the Battlefield franchise.
Battlefield, don't think so.
You know what I mean? Or like North Africa, or maybe one of those kind of like an area that is not overlooked, but you know what I mean, like not used as much. Who knows? It's all just pure speculation, anyway. Pure speculation. But there you go. That's true. But we'll find out next week. Battlefield V, we shall see. That rhymed. Didn't mean to. Oops. Right. That'll, I think, do it for this week. That is all of our news items. Hopefully we'll have some more tasty bits next week. Because I mean, I was scouting around trying to find things, and there was all sorts of little mini bits of news that I just kind of felt, well, you know what, why even? I mean, even the Battlefield V one, we could have just waited and discussed the actual reveal next week, but because it just broke not that long ago. I thought, oh, you know what, why not? We'll bring that up. The confirmation of the actual name of the game. But, you know, as always, we'll be back next week. Make sure to check out the rest of Scholarly Gamers. We've got reviews, articles. Of course, just this week, the latest episode of Armchair Gaming came out, where this week the Unbearable Gamer actually fired up Fortnite. Yes, he uses the BR genre as basically the vehicle to talk about philosophy this time. So don't want to spoil it for you. You know, you should check out sometime. It's a great series. And of course, you know, there's plenty of other shows that we have going on as well. Proof of Console and of course Fundamentals. But anyway, look, that is us for this week. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll catch you again next week. Thanks, guys, as always, for coming on. Gim and Jay, much appreciated, gentlemen.
No problemo.
And yeah, we'll try to play some games this weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Take it easy, folks.